Ladies, it helps to have it on.
Ladies,
Well,
air check, air check. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor and privilege of being your candidate for the Richmond City Council. And remember one thing, Richmond is a great southern city of the West. And it's an honor and a privilege to be here. What all of the other candidates might have to say to you tonight is all fine. But ladies and gentlemen, I am the only one here with an economic development plan that will be very acceptable to you and can be done. I am a Democrat. I have lived throughout the city of Richmond, the South Side, Central, North. I now reside in the North and the East. And I will tell you, born in Richmond, live in Richmond, and proudly die in Richmond. I'm good to go up at Hilltop. Now, basically, the economic plan for Richmond must be a comprehensive and inclusive collaboration among stakeholders. High involvement will be the key to developing a consensus that will serve Richmond, true Richmond's need. High involvement, again, will be the key to a development of consensus that will serve Richmond's needs, a common vision towards long-term goals based on widespread community participation, engagement, and ownership that will sow deep roots required for successful economic development. The 5 components to this plan: education, produce a knowledgeable and useful workforce of our own young people and youth to train them to be the new homeowners of our community. Number 2, business-friendly environment to attract and keep employers. Number 3, quality of life to attract and keep employees who will live and work here. Disciplined land use to efficiently, intelligently work within environmental limitations. And 5, modern infrastructure to create and maintain competitive business access for employers, employees, and consumers. I will tell you that this campaign that I have is called Rise to Power. And on November 6th, we are going to take control of our community again. And we will be in the position to mandate and dictate to this new council as to how it shall be. It is an honor and a privilege to be a candidate, and it is an honor and a privilege to be an elected community official and to serve the community in which I am from. It is an honor and a privilege to serve Creator and this community. And I thank you all very much. Ladies and gentlemen, rise to power.
Good evening, everyone. My name is R.P.A, and I'm running for City Council because I believe you deserve better. You deserve better leadership than what you're getting right now. Now, if I lived in a city where we had a city council that was focused on taking care of the business of our city, focused on addressing the most important issues of our city, then I wouldn't be running for City Council. But just like you have a fundamental responsibility to go vote, if you think something's not right, you have to step up and try to make a difference. And that's why I'm running, is because I believe I can make a difference. I come to you with experience. I served you for 5 years from 1999 to 2005. While on the council, I was very engaged with the tearing down of Easter Hill, which was a crime-ridden public housing unit, and we put up good housing there in Richmond Village. If you go out to the Ford Building and you enjoy the Ford Building, I was the chair of the Ford Building Rehabilitation Committee. If you think you see things happening in downtown or good things, that's an initiative that I started while on the council called the Richmond Main Street, Downtown Main Street Program. So I do have the ability to produce results. And the reason why is because I put first things first. You, the voters, and the issues that are most important to you. Now, I come to you also with the experience of being currently, I run a credit union, I'm a credit union manager, so I bring a financial management background as well. And in these tough economic times, we need to be sure we have people on the council that understand how the money's being spent and make sure that the money's being spent properly. I can bring that to you as a member of the City Council. I started my public service career when I was 25 years old, getting involved in the community, serving on boards and committees. And you know, it's good to see this young person here because I think it's very, very important that we get our young people engaged in our community in an active way. Getting them to understand how to take charge of their future or how to be a part of their future by participating in the local community. That's one of the objectives that I'd like to work on achieving as one of your council members. I also work with businesses, so I know how to develop and bring businesses that want to operate in our city to produce jobs so that these young people can have those opportunities. So as you think about who you want to support, as it was mentioned, you have three choices. As you look at the candidates, I may not be your first choice. I'm sure you have people up here that you like in particular. I may not even be your second choice. But surely, out of those three choices that you have, you can consider me as one of your choices that can help move the city forward. Because you deserve better, unless you're happy with what we have right now. Thank you.
Good evening, folks. I'm Tom Butt. This is my 6th or 7th time at this particular forum. I was first elected in 1995. I've served on your city council for 17 years. And during that time, I've made a lot of commitments to make Richmond a better place to live. And I believe that I have fulfilled all of those commitments. After 17 years, Richmond is a much more greener, cleaner, quieter, and safer place than it was when I started this journey. This journey, I hope, is not finished. There is more work left to be done. Richmond is on a roll. Just recently, we have landed Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. We've rehabilitated the Civic Center. We rehabilitated the Plunge. Plans are underway right now to rehabilitate the Richmond Swim Center, even though it's only 15 years old, but it needs some work. And we're going to continue this. I like to say that we're a community who can do it. We can do it. We brought the Rosie the River World War II Homefront National Park to Richmond, which put Richmond in the national spotlight. And during my time on the council, if I had to say one thing that would encapsulate it all, it would be quality of life issues. People who live here want a better quality of life. And businesses who want to locate here are looking for a city that offers a quality of life for them and their employees. You know, just recently, Nutiva had a job fair for 100 people in Richmond. Yeah. And they said they came here because they liked what they saw in Richmond. They liked the direction this city was going. They liked the idea that it was a city on the way up, and that's why they came here. So I look at this as unfinished business. I'm committed to try to do this for another 4 years with your help and your support, and continue to make Richmond the absolute best city it can be. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marilyn Langlois. I'm a resident of North and East, and I would like to represent you on the Richmond City Council. First, I want to thank the Southside Improvement Group +1 for hosting this candidates night. I have the values, experience, and commitment to continue moving Richmond in a positive direction. I value people over profits. You, the residents of Richmond, bring a wealth of background, skills, and ideas to the city we call home, where we all deserve to feel healthy, happy, and safe. As a city council member, I will support every policy we can to achieve this end, addressing the needs of those among us who are hurting, while also recognizing that each of us has something to contribute to benefit our community as a whole. Corporate interests for too long have used Richmond to take wealth out of the city for the benefit of the super rich. But we can turn this around by adhering to principles of environmental, racial, and economic justice. If elected, my top 5 priorities will be: 1, healthy jobs, by removing barriers to employment with training and expanding the ban-the-box policies, by attracting clean tech jobs around the new LBNL campus, incentivizing infill development in the urban core, and promoting worker-owned cooperatives. 2, healthy relationships by resolving conflicts peacefully, further decreasing violent crime through community policing and expanded violence prevention programs, and honoring the cultural diversity of our community. 3, a healthy environment by setting the highest possible requirements for reducing toxic pollution, accelerating our transition to renewable energy, repairing our streets to be bicycle and pedestrian friendly, and protecting our precious shoreline and hillsides. 4, healthy lifestyles by increasing access to sports, recreation, and locally grown food while discouraging excessive consumption of sugary beverages. And last but by no means least, 5, a healthy economy by continuing to beautify our city with art, trails, and other amenities while highlighting our key assets, namely our residents, our values, and our prime location to attract investment in our community. Over the past 4.5 years working on the staff of Mayor McLaughlin, I gained direct experience and knowledge to enable me to be an effective city council member in Richmond. I understand how the city operates and have good working relationships with city staff, council members, and volunteer leaders on the city's boards and commissions and neighborhood councils. Inclusion and transparency are my guiding principles. Prior to joining the mayor's staff, I worked as a community mediator and conflict resolution trainer, reinforcing my ability to work constructively with people of differing perspectives and positions, a skill I see as essential to the democratic process. I'm always open to listening and engaging in respectful dialogue, seeking common ground wherever possible. I've demonstrated my commitment to working with you to make a Richmond a healthier city for us all as a volunteer organizer in numerous settings, including with the League of Women Voters, with Richmond Vision,
time's up.
okay, March for Education, and more. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for putting together this forum. I really enjoyed it the last time I was here, and I hope to be at many more as you continue to re-elect me. My name is Eduardo Martinez. I'm a retired school teacher, and I've worked in many different educational areas. I worked in juvenile hall. I helped set up a 7th, 8th grade continuation school for truants, students just out of juvenile hall, students who were on probation. And the thing that I did best was to teach them about community. I had difficulties, but successfully so, teaching kids that it's relationships that make things happen. I learned that I couldn't teach anyone until I developed a relationship with them. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to nurture the relationships that I have with all of you, and if I don't have a relationship with you, I'm here to forge one, so that we can all work together to make Richmond a better place. I went to a charrette and found out that along McDonald Avenue, a mile and a half on both sides of McDonald Avenue, the people who lived there spent 80% of their expendable income elsewhere. It was not spent in Richmond. That's got to change. And the question is, what sorts of things do we need along McDonald Avenue to have people stay here? We need to develop those businesses. And the other thing I noticed was that Richmond has a bad reputation. But that's changing. That's changing with the kinds of things that our government is doing with the new city plan that we have. Developing more bike and pedestrian throughways. The Richmond Greenway is a perfect example of that. If any of you have not gone on the Richmond Greenway, do so. There's fantastic murals, there's gardens, and one thing that I've also worked on is providing free fruit trees to the residents of Richmond. I've helped give out over 8,000 fruit trees, and we will continue to do so because we need to learn how to start feeding ourselves. So, thank you.
Good evening, Southside. My name is J.L. Myrick, and I'm actually I live in the Building Woods neighborhood, and I'm active in that neighborhood council. But I always feel comfortable here on the South Side. You know, I spent 4 years of my life over there at Kennedy High School. I lived in the Panhandle neighborhood for a little bit, so this always feels like a second home as well. So I feel really cool over here. So my background is I grew up in this community, and you know I've worked in the political arena for the last few years of my life. I worked for several years with the California League of Conservation Voters, working on environmental campaigns. I founded an organization when I was 21 years old about getting young people politically active, and we do trainings for young people about how to stay engaged in politics, and that organization is still going on, and I'm very proud of that work. And I've been spending the past 3.5 years as a representative doing engagement specifically in this community in Richmond, San Pablo, El Cerrito, and the other neighborhoods around here on behalf of our Assembly member Nancy Skinner. So, you know, I decided to run for City Council this year for a number of reasons, but one big one is that, you know, we all have seen that in recent years our council has gotten overly divisive, and I think it's a culture that is counterproductive to goals that I think we all agree with. And even if you listen to all the candidates who spoke so far, I agree with the goals of a lot of what folks have said. You know, we do need better jobs, we do need more jobs, and we do need to be able to protect the environment in the course of doing so. But, you know, working with the Assembly member, I've seen cities who can work together on getting those things accomplished without creating the sort of environment where everybody feels like, you know, everyone's a complete enemy of each other, and I don't think that Richmond has to be that way. So that's one of the main reasons I'm running, and as somebody who's worked with, you know, I know just about everybody up here, and I've worked with everybody on the council, and I have a relationship with all these folks. I think I'm in a unique position to do that. The other reason I'm running is I genuinely believe that we can attack a lot of the root causes of a lot of the problems we have here in this city if we invest in our young people. And that's something that's a personal passion of mine. And if you elect me to the City Council, I promise you I will spend more time than any other candidate you've seen in a long time, or more time than any other council member you've seen in a long time, thinking and working towards improving the opportunities and improving the living standard of living for our young people here in Richmond. And I definitely expect to do a lot of that. Let me also say one other thing since we're in Southside. Another thing that I think is important is that we reinvest in the parts of our community that are struggling the most, and that includes some of the neighborhoods here in the Southside, that includes Building Woods, that includes the Iron Triangle, and that includes a lot of the African American and Latino neighborhoods in this community that seem to get left out when it's time to talk about resources. So that's where I'm running for City Council. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Bea Robertson, and I live in the Panhandle Annex neighborhood. I'm running for City Council because I believe that the leadership needs to shelve its personal agendas and represent all the people in Richmond. We need jobs, we need our infrastructure repaired, we need our streets repaired, we need benefits and productive things for our families to do. And that, I believe that we can achieve that if we all work together and we all pull one wagon instead of putting everything in a different wagon and taking it off different directions. Instead of pushing our businesses out of Richmond, we need to encourage them to stay and provide more jobs and with benefits and promote everything that the city needs. We need to balance our environment with jobs and make sure that the environment is protected. And we need to have a more thriving business community, broadens our tax base in order that we can then find the money to fix the potholes, have the jobs. And the other thing, we need to reduce crime. And we need to attract new businesses, and we need to work together as a council in order to bring this city to the wonderful city it can be. This is a wonderful place. We all need to work together so that it can be the true gem that it is.
Good evening. My name is Eleanor Thompson, and I'm from the Shield Reeds Neighborhood Council in North Richmond. I've lived in Richmond for over 45 years, and I want to thank you all for inviting me here on tonight. I have worked with youth for over 25 years. I founded the Social Progress, Inc. Program when we had all the violence in 1991 to get young men and women off the street in the Iron Triangle. I served as the president of the Iron Triangle Neighborhood Council. I served as the vice president. I've been a substitute teacher in the Richmond Unified School District for years and in the John Swett School District. I have worked with youth on the street corners, to help them to find jobs, help them to get jobs and get off the street. I've gotten many of them off the street and into job or job training. And I enjoy working with the youth in the city of Richmond. And I believe, like everyone else has said, that Richmond can be a better Richmond. It can be a better Richmond for all the residents of Richmond, a better Richmond for all our youth. Because we need people who will go out and get them off the street. And those who are creating the problems that we have are the youth who are on the street corners. So we have to dedicate some time to those youth and go out and get them. And I've volunteered in juvenile hall for years as a volunteer working with the kids who are in juvenile hall. My platform is jobs. We know that our people in Richmond need jobs. And when people come into Richmond and they have jobs, we want to make sure that the residents of Richmond get those jobs. Also, the quality of life. If you have no job, you can't have a good quality of life because you have no economic support. Therefore, we need jobs. We need finance. If we have no finance, we can't do the things that we want to do or the things that we need to do. A lot of time, want is not a necessity, but a need is a necessity. So a lot of time, we can't do those things that we need to do. And I truly support our police department and our fire department because we need them. And we need to continue to support them and make sure we get no cut in that area so that the crime that is down, it can stay down. We don't want to get rid of police officers and then we have more crime than we can handle. And I also support education because I believe that education is the key to a quality life. If you have the background, then you will be able to go out and get a job. It may not be the kind of job you want, but you will be able to get a job. And education is the key to our young people on today. And I support programs for kids. I was the initiator of the Am Street Park development in 1994. And that park is just now being renovated and redone now. But I initiated that in 1994. I also worked with the people. Oh, thank you. And I want to thank you for inviting me here on tonight.
My name is Mark Wasberg, and I want to thank you for inviting me here. Most of these candidates sound like Never Never Land. And I've been in the streets, people. I've seen the homicide. I've seen the blood and the tears. I've been there with Antoine and Corky and NC, the Black on Black Summit, State of Emergency, Operation Richmond. I helped pack 3,000 Bibles. And I've seen it, and I filmed it, and I documented it. I believe I served the African American community well. I was on the committee to help save Stanley Tookie Williams. What Richmond needs is a city council that's going to support the people, not to have the bickering and arguing that they've been doing. We all know that the R.P.A. has been infiltrating the city council. I used to work in Richmond. I remember back in the day when you could quit a job and walk down the street and get a job. Certainty, Green, Chevron, we all had jobs. But most of the jobs have moved out. But we can bring the jobs back. We can put people back to work. We can get people educated. We can have a major job training program. You may not work in Richmond. There's other places that you could work. Believe me, I know. The reason why I stayed in Richmond all my life is because working. Because I know I had a lot of jobs in Richmond, but then it was time to work in Oakland, San Jose, and stuff like that. All right? But you people see me at the city council. I don't have to explain myself. You know how I feel about my city. Some of these candidates here never been to a city council meeting. Never been at the rallies to stop the violence. I've been there, I've seen it. And then all of a sudden, election time, there comes, oh, I care about my city. If they cared about the city, they would have been at the city council meetings 2-3 years ago. Got it? Like I say, this is serious stuff. It's always 5-2, 5-2 vote, bickering, arguing between each other. This is why we need to get these people out of here. And I believe I'm the best candidate. Because I tell you, I'm not playing with no fool. I'm playing with a full deck. Because when I go there in the city council, I don't mess around. And you know that. But like I say, I see the homicide rate among the African Americans is staggering for the last 8 years. And we know for a fact that the city council for the last 8 years did nothing. The homicide rate is 87%. The average homicide rate should only be 6 per year. You had seen it 40, 42, 47, and yet they brag, oh, crime is dropping. Everybody talks about jobs, everybody talks about education. They did the same thing with people running for 16 years on the city council. Have you seen a change? No. I see the homeless people out there every day. I've been at the soup kitchens. I've been at the rescue missions. I know what it is. I've seen it. So this is why I'm running for city council, because we need to get these people off the city council that's on there, and you know who I'm talking about. And there's some people in here in this room needs to go. All right? Like I say, if I didn't care about my city, I wouldn't be fighting with these people on the city council getting booted out. All right? So I believe I'm your best candidate. And if you, and the purpose of a council member is, we're lawmakers. We swear to the Constitution. And I know for a fact that in 2007, when this city council ordered the police chief not to enforce the law, and Richmond had 47 homicides. I guarantee I get on that city council, that police chief better enforce the law. If not, he's out. He's gone. Because this is why we need 3 seats on that city council to break the status quo. Just remember something. Who was at the city council 2-3 years in a row fighting for you people? I didn't come to say, well, gee, election time's come around, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to be a candidate. But I was never at no meetings. I was never at Black on Black Summit, State of Emergency, Operation Richmond. I never seen those people there. So you vote for me.
Wait just a minute, I'm going to get the other mic.
So here you come, here you come.
Well, Mark, I'm sure, hope that you're not talking about replacing me. Let me first acknowledge and appreciation to the South Side Improvement Group +1 for the outstanding work that you do in the community. And you sneaked in another first. You're the first one to have a candidate's night. My only disappointment is I didn't have anything to eat today. Last time I had something to eat was with Corky at Casper's. I don't see any soul food over there that you normally prepare, but that's okay. It's too many people, I guess. Well, I'm Nat Bates, and if you don't know me, then you probably just moved in the city of Richmond. I've been your elected official for some 30 years. And I've always enjoyed representing this community. And as I look around, I see many friends. I'm happy to see you here. I guess at least 75% of you I know personally. And it's also sad, of course, that we've lost some great friends of ours, the Livingstons, Al Daniels, who was a spearhead here in this church, Mother Noveline Harris, Evelyn Patterson, who just lived around the corner here. So but we got to keep struggling to the property up. In reference to the potholes, you know my position. I've been fighting these potholes. We just got through finally getting South 37th Street completed thanks to Corky, who was right there beside me fighting, and it got accomplished. Anytime you commit $40 million to a bicycle path and you ignore the potholes all over this city, something is wrong with the city council.
Yes, sir.
We need to get that money directed where the majority of the people, bike users represent 1 to 2% of the total population in this city. 99% of the people use the streets. 100% actually, counting the kids. So that's where the money should have been devoted and directed. And that would have been an improvement for the south side, the north side, the east side, the west side, and every other kind of side. All right?
Eduardo Martinez.
Mr. Martinez, the southeast neighborhoods are not represented on the city council. That is why years of requesting a safe railroad crossing at Cutting and Carlson, a four-way signal at 37th and Cutting, and reconstruction of our streets, we're related this about our streets, with no foundations always falls on deaf ears. District elections would eliminate this unfair treatment. What will you do to bring fairness to the neighbors on the southeast side, neighborhoods on the southeast side of Richmond?
Well, I know that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. When I worked at Downer Elementary, we found out that the school board had transferred the money that was going to be used to rebuild Downer Elementary over to El Cerrito High so that they could build a state-of-the-art high school. When we found that out, we organized teachers, parents, kids, and we marched from Downer Elementary down 23rd Street, down McDonald to Boulevard de Jean, and demanded that the school district transfer that money back to Downer. And we told them that we would be back there time and time again until they did what was right. Because Downer Elementary at the time, in the 500 wing where I worked, had sewer water backing up every time it rained. We had rat droppings throughout the school. And because we were adamant, the school board transferred the money back to us. And as neighborhood councils, you need to be vocal. You need to let the council, the city council, know what your needs are, and you need to be vocal about it. As a council member, I plan to go to neighborhood councils and listen to what your needs are and represent you at the neighborhood council. So let's all work together and get things done.
I just want, I couldn't hold it, I gotta say this.
Tell her no, but she's talking anyway.
I've got to let everybody know that the wheels on the southwest side have been squeaking for over 20 years. We haven't got anything. So maybe your wheels on your side got oil, but ours must have had water. I had to say that, I'm sorry.
You're not supposed to say that. I can't do anything with Naomi, you know that. Mr. Budd, if re-elected, what will you do to represent all the people in this city? Not just one party's views. And what will you do to return civility and common courtesy to city council meetings?
Thank you. Well, let's talk about city council meetings. I don't know how many of you watch city council meetings. If you do, it'll watch your brain. But I think you'll notice that I rarely say anything in a city council meeting unless I really have something to say. The second thing is that I do not attack people personally at the city council. I never have. And I think that if all city council members would follow those two rules, I think we'd get done a lot earlier, and we'd feel a lot better about each other when the night is over. And the first part of that question about representing all of the people of Richmond, I have a unique way of communicating with the people of Richmond. For the last 11 years, I have operated or written what I call the Tom Butt e-form. And it goes out to over 2,000 people in the city of Richmond. I send out 2 or 3 of those a day. And I try to give people information about what's happening in Richmond that they're not going to get anywhere else. And that's not a one-way communication. What it does is it stimulates a lot of communication from people back to me from every neighborhood in Richmond. On some issues that are hot button issues, I will actually get several hundred responses from all over Richmond. On some issues, I'll just get a few. Sometimes I won't hear anything. But I read every one of them, and sometimes I get back to people to find out details and that kind of thing. But I found that that's been a very effective way for me to keep in touch with people of Richmond on a daily basis, all the people of Richmond. And anybody who does not subscribe to the Tom Butt e-form, I recommend you do so. If you want to see me before we leave tonight, I'll give you a card that has email address on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
E. Robertson.
Mrs. Robertson, the City Council, 7 people, decided that 120,000 people should purchase their energy from the Marin Energy Authority without a vote of the people, which they did when they wanted to defeat the Point Melati project. Do you believe that all major decisions that affect all of the citizens should be voted on by the people? Please explain your answer.
Yes, I believe that everything should be, if it's going to affect every single person, every single household in the city of Richmond, every business, everything that goes on in Richmond, if it's going to affect them, they need to have a say-so in whether or not we get in it. This was just brought to the fore. Again, it's another thing that was just brought to the fore by a group in the city council, and they don't necessarily represent everyone, and it would cost more money. It's going to cost everybody more money on their energy bills. Now, the people who, and it'll hit the people who have least resources the hardest. We need to allow people to say what they want, and we're bringing the sugar tax to the agenda and to the vote. They brought Point Melati to the vote, but Marin, you just get it whether you want it or not.
I hope we can opt out.
Yeah, you can, but shouldn't even have to even be bothered to opt out.
I'm sorry, you can opt out, but you have to opt out. They should say if you want it, you can opt in, but instead they say you get it whether you want it or not, and if you don't want it, you have to opt out.
I wonder how we got it anyway.
Mike, Ali Kenny.
Yes, ma'am.
You're getting the last question. In the past, neighborhood councils were consulted before the planning department approved projects such as the bicycle plan that will reduce the number of automobile lanes on Cutting Boulevard. And they had input on other projects in their neighborhoods. Do you believe that neighborhood councils should be consulted on all projects being proposed for their neighborhoods? If yes, please explain what you will do, if elected, to include neighborhoods' input in all projects, large or small. If you don't agree, please explain.
That is one of the best questions I've heard tonight, and I have some damn good answers. All right, now here, let me tell you what the agenda is. It's called Rise to Power. I'm going to make a commitment right here and now, pledge and word. We in this community have never laid down in the face of struggle for the advancement of human and civil and socioeconomic rights. We are in the heartland. I'm going to make a commitment tonight that we are going to prioritize this whole agenda of how city council rolls to where they say they're going to serve and don't. I personally pledge upon my election, I'm tough, I'm skilled, and I get the job done. A lot of you know that. But here's what I'd like to say to respond to that very fine question. We will no longer neglect and ignore basic, fair infrastructure to what is owed to this community on the south side, the upper, lower, and middle south side. It is appalling how people have to live. It's just damn wrong. And I will tell you that I am prepared to make that change. We have waited too long. We have stood silent too long. We have accepted it, and we're not accepting it anymore. If you're going to get a leader who has something going on. I'm your man. You know, let's rise to power. Let's take this back, because this is ours. You know, this is ours. You know, the same conditions that exist at Nystrom are still the same conditions that existed when I went there over 50 years ago. Not a damn thing has changed. You know, we've waited long enough. All the educated fools from the educated schools have promised us. What did they promise us? You know, Kicking Bear once said, we cannot live on your lives and broken promises.
Time.
Thank you, and that's my answer.
Okay, we're getting ready to ask the audience if they have any questions. We have people out there we're going to come up to the mic, since we don't have too many mics and too many people. So we're going to let you come up to the mic and ask your question. And you have 1 minute to ask the question.
Go ahead.
You can direct it to anyone or to all.
Good evening, Juan Reardon, Richmond Annex resident. Thank you to all the candidates for being here. My question has to do with the recent disaster that we had with Chevron in the refinery, and I would like to know, what do you as candidates believe should be done to avoid this type of human-created catastrophes that affects our health, our residents, our peace of mind, and the value of our properties? This question is directed to all of you.
I'm going to say this much, and that was a very fine question, Mr. Reardon. Currently, my staff and I are doing a full investigation to see what really hell happened out there. We need an independent voice, somebody that we can trust. You know me, I know you. So I would just say that right now, the call that I'm making, I want to base it on fact. I don't want to base it on speculation. What happened out there is not a political issue. What happened out there is about the welfare of us. The welfare of us. You know, that's what I'm concerned about, is the us. The us part. And the us is kind of getting tired of it. So I would just say straight up, my staff and I, we are working on, we will have some kind of a paper prepared soon for you to read. You'll probably read it like about the West County Times, something like that. But it will be out there. So I would just rather go that trail than run my mouth about stuff I don't know about.
Yeah, that's true. You know, what I would do is to, number one, make sure that they fix it properly going forward. And I know that a couple of years ago, Chevron put forth a permitting process to actually retrofit and improve and upgrade the plant. And for some strange reason, it was stopped by the council. Now, if in fact that permit process had been allowed to go forward, who knows if we would have had this accident. I mean, you know, if you're driving the same car that you were driving 20 years ago, and the muffler's falling off of it, and you go to the muffler shop and they say, well, we can't fix it because we're not going to allow you to have a permit to fix it, and then your car's making all this noise, at some point, you got to say, well, if I'm allowed to fix it, then maybe we can prevent the noises coming out of the car. I mean, unless you think Chevron's going somewhere tomorrow, we got to work together with them. We got an industrial safety ordinance. We need to strengthen that industrial safety ordinance to make sure that they're operating safely, because that's the part that makes a difference. Is you got to prevent these things from happening rather than reacting to them after they happen.
Well, over the years, no one at this table has worked harder than I to make Chevron Refinery a safer place. Having said that, the modernization project that was started, that was approved, actually was approved by the City Council in 2008, was stopped by a lawsuit because the environmental impact report was flawed. We do need to make that refinery safer, and we do need to modernize it. And I actually led the effort to convince Chevron to reapply for that permit and to go through a process that would get it right this time and make it bulletproof from litigation, and work with the environmental groups to make sure that they were on board so we could get this done. And unless this recent event holds it up, it should happen in 2013.
Thank you. The project that was approved by the council and struck down by the courts in 2008 actually had nothing to do with the crude unit that caught fire. It was a completely different project. It was about expanding their ability to produce hydrogen and to refine a greater variety of crudes. So I agree that Chevron should upgrade its crude unit. Absolutely. I would totally support them upgrading that and many other parts of the refinery that are really old and in need of repair. I've met with the U.S. Chemical Safety Board. I'm a community representative on a group that's going to be meeting with them regularly and other independent investigators to try to determine what the root causes of this fire were. And I have many questions already. I want to know why that pipe wasn't repaired when they did the turnaround last year. I want to know why the crude unit wasn't shut down before they took the insulation off that pipe to protect the lives of those workers who almost died. Thank you.
Someone said that it's not a political issue, but unfortunately it is a political issue. When Chevron says that, when the news media reports that the fire happened because the city didn't approve the rebuilding of it, you know, that's a lie. When the media reports that there's some confusion among the residents of Richmond who say they heard explosions because Mr. Hearn said that he didn't and he was on the site, that's political.
You're right.
So we need to realize that whether we like it or not, Chevron is a political issue. People will take money from them.
So I agree a lot with what Tom said a little earlier on this, and I think that a lot has to happen. First of all, in the near term, I know that there's investigations going on, and I know that the county and the state are doing all they can to try to make sure that we that we look at what the cause of this was, and that we also make sure that the immediate health impacts are taken care of. But in the long term, you know, it is extremely important that we get that upgrade going, that we make sure that they are using updated equipment. That's extremely important, and it's good for us environmentally, and it's good for us health-wise, and it's good for us job-wise. But also, like Tom said, it's extremely important that we make sure that this time they're careful with that EIR. That EIR needs to make sure that it is bulletproof, that it's not something that's going to go to the courts and get turned around, and that it's not something that has holes in it or something that leaves loopholes so that Chevron can sneak through and do something we don't want them to do. Oversight is also extremely important. We have to, you can't just let them do whatever they want to do. The city has to have strong oversight.
We need to allow Chevron to upgrade their refinery to a state-of-the-art refinery. But as for the accident, or whatever you want to call it, I'm holding my judgment until we get the reports of what actually happened. Everybody can make up rumors and say this happened or that happened, or perhaps some people say that there was an explosion, but other people say that it wasn't an explosion, it was actually an ignition of the diesel fuel. I don't know what it was. I'm going to wait till the people who know these things and the investigators, the outside investigators, come up with their reports, and then we will deal with whatever has to be dealt with. And we need to encourage Chevron to upgrade their refinery, and we need to allow them to do the upgrades that they need so that it is a safer place. And I was at a meeting just the other day, and 85% of our pollution is from trains and trucks.
I might be wrong, but I thought I heard on the news that there was a pipe that had rusted and it had not been replaced. And I would say that Chevron broke the law when they let this incident happen. But yet, instead, like Gary said, if Chevron's not going any place, then we need to just hope that we can become good neighbors. They'll do what they need to do, fix the problem so that it doesn't happen again, and let the people breathe clean air.
Well, the accident in Chevron should never happen in the first place, because I know I used to work out there. The fault, what happened was, she was right. There was the pipe that was corroded. They didn't repair on the last shutdown, which they should have did. All right. Now, I would recommend tighter restrictions from the state and federal government to oversee the repairs, EPA or these other agencies. And I want to see Chevron issue gas masks to people who live in North Richmond, Point Richmond, the Iron Triangle, on the south side. Because I'm going to tell you, one big explosion that could kill thousands. But if you have a gas mask, it'll save your life. It's no joke. I worked out there. Because in 2 months, my soles were gone off my feet. We walked in it, I mean, you can see it totally disappear. Okay? So I would recommend you get Chevron in a pocketbook. They can pay out a lot of fines. But once the people start demanding, hey, we want some protective clothing, we want some gas masks, and we want to have a patrol.
Let me make an announcement. I said at first that we were going to let everybody, in case everybody wants to answer the same question, but this way we will never get the majority of the questions that need to be answered from a lot of people, because we only have a little time. So I'm going to renege on that part. Ask one question to one of the candidates, and then let's move on from there.
You got to finish up what you started. Well, I think you got to finish up what you started.
You gonna let Dad answer?
Let everybody.
No, I don't. I'm chairing this meeting. Okay, this is not the city council.
I did want to respond because I sit there. That plant is 110 years of age. We're very fortunate that we haven't had a more serious problem of explosion where individuals have gotten killed or something. We already have a dispute between the federal agency and the state agency in terms of what the causes were. We have to wait and allow everybody to do the investigation and to finalize what their outcome is. And we need to get that plant up and running and productive, safety, and also revenue to the city. Sorry.
Hello, my name is Nabila, and I have a question for you guys. As you may or may not know, the single sale of containers of alcohol are a problem in Richmond. And the majority of these stores in Richmond are allowed to sell single sale containers of alcohol. It leads to littering, loitering, underage drinking, crimes in the area such as auto theft, violent crimes, home invasions, assault, and calls of service to our Richmond Police Department. If you're elected as a council member, what do you plan on doing about this issue? I can pick two. Let's see here. I would like to ask Councilman Bates and also, and Tom Hood,
Okay, well, that's a serious problem, and you've articulated it quite well.
Thank you.
The problem is certain constitutional rights. Business people, through the business license that they get from the city and through the state, have certain rights. If you have a market, whatever, you have certain rights to operate, to sell, as long as you do it within the confines of the state law. And that you just can't say, okay, we're not going to allow this store to sell alcohol here, but they can sell it across this town or whatever. So those things are legal. And when you try to impose, your moralistic viewpoints, then you put the city at jeopardy in terms of being sued. And then if we lose, then we have to pay, then we have to change the law. So that's a complicated situation, and it's difficult.
I'd like to talk about some things we have done. Any liquor store requires a conditional use permit. Those that were there before, way back when, are sort of grandfathered in. But one of the things the council did is pass what we call a deemed approval ordinance, where we can actually go back and impose a conditional use permit on them. We've done this, and a lot of these conditional use permits do not allow the sale of alcohol in single containers. So we've done that. Another thing that I did, I brought a policy to the city council, a resolution that was passed several years ago, that inserted the city in the ABC process. When a liquor license is transferred, the city has an opportunity to go to ABC and ask for additional conditions. And often those conditions deal with this single container thing. So we do have a number of powers. We have used them to the extent we can. But it's only when something happens like that that we have an opportunity to insert ourselves.
Okay, well, I have a solution for you guys, and if you'd like to meet with me at any time, I'd be happy to discuss with it.
All right.
He has a solution.
Thank you.
I haven't heard a councilman yet that said they have a solution, but he does. My name is Wesley Ellis, and I'm here. I want to ask, it's not really a question, but I stand here because the city of Richmond has dealt with bait and switch individuals for so long. We know what politicians are like. We know you tell us exactly what you want us to hear until you get in office. Now, how many of you that's sitting there will stand the pressure, because I will be there for your 4 years unless I die. And I will sit and talk about you, Mr. Bates and Tom, but they know about me. And I will make sure that you are very uncomfortable when you bait and switch us again. Now, I would like for Mr. Bell, Mr. Martinez, and Mr. Bell and Mr. Martinez to answer that. What are you going to do to prove or say that you're here for the long haul and will be here for Richmond? God bless you.
I don't know. You should have said butt switch.
You said butt switch. You said baits and butts?
No, they've already done theirs. They know about it. They know me very well.
Well, I would answer your question by saying that I've been on the council before.
Yes.
And I've taken some very strong positions and stuck to those positions, although they were not popular. I can remember when we had the 6-foot fence ordinance that came up, come out of nowhere. There was no bait and switch there. As I mentioned before, when we were dealing with the Ford project, that was a very tough issue. When Point Melody came up, there was no bait and switch there. All of my decisions have been very consistent with what's best for the city as a whole. And as I said, people know they can come to me, I'm approachable, you can talk to me. I may not have the best idea. And this young lady that talked about her having a solution, I'm open to hearing what that solution is.
I thought you said baits and switch, and I was looking around for switch. But I have been serving the community as a teacher, and after I retired, I served the community in every capacity possible. In North Richmond, I helped Carla Orozco put together the Green Festival. I've worked with community gardens. I helped work on one in North Richmond, in Parkchester, on McDonald and 7th. And I've given away trees. I've worked on the Bond Oversight Committee as well as the Citizens Advisory Committee, overseeing the finances of the school. I've worked with the East Bay Sanctuary, and recently I've been working with. So, anyways, I'm here to serve.
Hello, my name is Mary Alice Bynum. I'm with the Laurel Park Neighborhood Council, and I'd like to know if, since you came to the city of Richmond with the Point Melody project, and I'm talking about the old members of the city council, and you had such a campaign against Point Melody, and it went to the ballot, how come you didn't come to the city of Richmond with this PG&E project and put it on the ballot? Now, since I can only choose 2 old folks that were on the council, old members, I choose Butts, and I guess you, Mr. Martinez. Or Bates and Butts. Bates and Butts.
Head Butts.
Well, I'm not sure whether the question was about Point Melody or about Marine Energy Authority.
You know what it was about. I said you went to us about the Point Melody project, but I want to know how come you didn't come to us about the PG&E project, because most people in Richmond don't know that they don't have PG&E anymore. They are in Marine project.
Everybody in Richmond still has PG&E.
Yeah, but they don't know that you guys switched it.
Right now.
Well, the Marine Energy Authority is basically it's a matter of choice. It's not being imposed on anybody. It gives people a choice of staying with PG&E or signing up for Marine Energy Authority.
No, they don't know that if they have to sign up. They don't know that if they have to opt.
Everybody, there will be a very long and complete public information program. Every ratepayer will get multiple letters, postcards, all kinds of communication explaining to them what their options are and asking them if they want to opt out, giving them the
They don't know if they have to do anything.
Well, you haven't gotten any of that stuff yet because the switchover is not going to start till next year.
Right.
And so you'll get all that information, and if you want to opt out, it'll be very easy to do it. So if you don't get it or you think the information's wrong, call me. I'll deal with it.
That was the question. The question was, why didn't you go to the city? And why didn't you have a knowledge? Why didn't you go on the ballot?
Why didn't it go on the ballot? We operate in a representative democracy, and you elect 7 people to make a lot of decisions for you. If we took every decision that affects every person in Richmond to the ballot, you wouldn't do anything but spend your life voting.
This is a big one. This was a big one.
Well, you have a choice.
Well, I did not vote for it along with Councilman Corky. This measure was proposed by the Richmond Progressive Alliance. Come on. It has a new name, Richmond Plantation Politics Alliance. They know what's best for all of us.
To get the lights turned back on the Parkway and fix the Cutting Carlson Crossway and get Councilman Butt to spend something like $800,000 on the south side of town.
Well, Corky asked me about 15 questions, so
That's all right.
if I spent a minute, I'd have a second per question. So I'm going to pick one and respond to it. I'm going to talk about jobs. We've heard people tonight talk about economic development plans and jobs and things like that. Richmond has an economic development plan. We just passed our new general plan 2030. It is a very aggressive document that deals with economic development. It deals with jobs. It's a pro-growth document. It projects population increase in Richmond of 40,000 people, and it projects job creation of about 22,000 people. So it's a very aggressive document, and it lays out in exquisite detail about what we're going to do to get there. And it had the backing, when it was passed, it had the backing of the Council of Industries, the Chamber of Commerce, Chevron, everybody that has to do with jobs in the city of Richmond. So that is our economic development plan. You might ask Councilmember Bouzet why he didn't vote for it.
Because we voted for it.
I just want to say that I'm here, I stand for all of the residents of the community of every race and every ethnicity. I think we need to cross all of those lines and work together as much as we can. That said, it's true that African American residents have suffered disproportionately from the violence in our community, and that's not acceptable. As part of the R.P.A, we mobilized July of 2007, I think it was July 30th, the City Council meeting. We packed the council because they were about to strike the funding for the street outreach program of the Office of Neighborhood Safety. We said we need to have that street outreach program for prevention, and we got it passed. And that has been an important component, along with our community policing and a lot of really important community efforts in reducing our violent crimes by about half. It's still not enough. We have to reduce it down to zero, but it has gone down in the last 5 years. And I stand with organizations like Ceasefire Lifelines to Healing and many people in this room in demanding an end to jail expansion and in activities that will prevent violence like the Ceasefire Lifelines to Healing. Thank you.
Kathleen Sullivan, Richmond residents. I have a question I think I want to direct to Gary Bell and Tom Butts regarding our young people and their safety, and what your ideas, if elected and re-elected, what kind of ideas you have about those that are basically paralyzed, can't move from the south side to the central to the north, can't move out of their own neighborhoods without the risk of basically being killed and or hurt. So, you know, we've got the work that we know, the valuable work of Office of Neighborhood Safety, which is routinely challenged at City Council from time to time. But I'd like to hear any other thoughts or ideas from both of you about what you would do to turn around that particular situation, because believe it or not, Richmond has some uniqueness about, as small as it is, that particular issue.
Okay, so before you answer that question, I want to let everybody know that's going to be the last question, because you only have 15 minutes and you have to have your 1 minute roundup. I'm sorry, there's going to be other there are going to be other candidates' nights in other places. So if you can just be tolerant and let's go on like we should.
Have some respect for the city council person right behind you. Have some respect for the city council person.
Excuse me, this will be the last question. Thank you.
Disrespectful.
Okay, so, first of all, Richmond is becoming a safer place. Overall, crime in Richmond has continued to drop year after year after year after year. Is it low enough? Of course it's not. But what has the city council been doing to address these issues, particularly with young people? Well, first of all, we have kept up the strength of our police department. We've joined it with the Office of Neighborhood Safety to work on it in a totally different way. We've supported our public schools. We've allocated millions of dollars to keep neighborhood schools open that otherwise would close so that kids can go to school in their own neighborhood. We support a lot of job training programs. The Richmond Build program has won national awards, and it particularly reaches out to young people in Richmond, teaches them marketable skills, particularly in the construction industry as well as other industries. So the city council,
Thank you for the question. I'm going to start off by saying that I recognize that the challenges that our youth have today are far greater than the challenges that many of us grew up with. And understanding that, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have a particular or specific solution on how to resolve that, but I know that by working with organizations like yourself, but also working with organizations like R.P.A or Neighborhood House that have potential solutions, taking those ideas and putting them together and working towards trying to show these young people that we care. That's the main thing, is that right now, a lot of these young people probably think that we just don't care. And once we can get their attention and show them that we care, then we can work towards longer term solutions to help our young people be a part of their future. Because they think we don't care about them. And I think that working with you and other organizations would be a positive part of making that happen. And I've talked to some of you about some of those ideas, but I'm not going to say I have the only idea, but I'm going to work with anyone in here with those ideas, and collectively, as a community, we're going to help these young people. And I'll be committed to doing that, because somebody helped me to get to where I am today. So I'm committed to helping them.
Okay, before we go any further, I want to apologize to Javon Beckles, because we do have time limits here, and we have to be out here at 8:30. And if they get ready to do their 1-minute summary, we'll go over time. That's what that's all about. It's not disrespect. We're respecting the time that we said we were going to finish. Thank you.
We're going to start the 1-minute wrap-up and let all of our candidates have 1 minute. And Mary's going to let you know, because we do have to get out. I mean, we are using a facility, and we told them we would be in the facility for a certain amount of time. Yeah. And so we have to get out when our time is up. So I apologize to everybody again, too. And I'm sorry that we didn't say that at the beginning of the last question, that this is the last question. So we apologize. We're just learning this is our first one this year. Okay, so let's start at the other end this time. At the other end, and start with Mr. Washburn. And would you do your 1-minute wrap up and just tell people what you want to tell them for that 1 minute?
And 59 minutes. Second.
Clock's running. Well, first of all, you know, I'm serious about this stuff, or else I wouldn't be going to city council and giving these people the business. Okay? Now, you have all these other people running for re-election, and you have all these people running for office. Now, some of them have never been to a city council meeting. They've never been out to help stop the violence. They haven't been anywhere. And the election time comes around, oh yeah, I'm for all you people. They talk about education. None of them ever came through. They talk about jobs. I don't see no new jobs. I don't see no new education. I don't see Richmond's being better by these people on the city council and some of these people running. I've been in the streets, people. I've seen it. I see it every day. I see them drinking on the sidewalks. I see them laying in the gutter. I've been at the soup kitchens. I've been at the rescue mission. I've been there, people. And yet these people come up here and say, oh, I love Richmond. Well, how come they love Richmond 4 or 5 years ago?
Thank you. Once again, I want to thank you all for inviting me here on tonight. And I have devoted over 25 years of my time working with youth, and it has been on a volunteer basis, even though I founded the Social Progress Inc. program in 1991 to work with youth in the Iron Triangle, North Richmond and South Richmond. And I ask you on November 6th, vote for me, that for a better Richmond. Thank you.
I have
have been a Richmond resident for 49 years, and I have been a volunteer and an activist in the community. I'm the president of the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council. I'm the chair of the Police Commission. I volunteer with the Cities of Service, all the programs that are helping people and trying to keep people get what they need. We need to make sure that the people that you vote for in November will listen to you and will take to heart what the people want and need rather than whatever their agenda is. We need people who will push the businesses to come here and work with LBNL to get what we need for this city. We need jobs. We need to fix our infrastructure. We need to fix our streets. We need to reduce crime. And we can all work together to do that. And it will take someone who is dedicated to doing what's good for the people and for this wonderful city.
Yes.
I'll be real quick since I went over my time last time, and I also want to apologize to Councilmember Beckles for not being able to speak, and I shouldn't have went over. But quickly, I think we can have a new culture on our council where we can disagree without being disagreeable, and we can actually work to get things done. I think we need to focus on young people, and I think that last question was very key because I'm still young enough to remember being that age, and I'm telling you, the friends that I had that got into the worst trouble, they were the ones that didn't see any opportunity in their future. They didn't know what was next, and they didn't have any reason to not go out and shoot somebody, to not hit a lick, as they say, or, to rob somebody, or to, they didn't have any reason as they thought not to do that. So we can focus on these folks, and we can make sure they all know that they all have opportunities to reach their highest potential, and that's what I want to do if you elect me to the City Council. Thanks.
1 minute is not enough time to explain who I am and why I want to be on the City Council, but I will tell you this. I'm here to represent everyone. And in the back I have my flyer. On my flyer is my telephone number. Take the flyer, give me a call if you have any questions. I am here to listen to you and to work with you. I'm also here for the youth of Richmond. I work on I'm a member of the Rec and Parks Commission. I'm pushing for more sports fields because I know that through team activities, our young people learn not only teammanship, but they learn leadership as they improve their healthy bodies. I'm also for a healthier Richmond. I want to make sure that Chevron makes restitution for the harm that they cause our environment, to the soil, to the air, to the water.
Thank you again for being here. I've worked in the community in the past, and I'll continue working in the community if I'm elected. With Richmond Vision, a coalition of faith, labor, and community groups, I have worked to promote affordable housing and social equity. With March for Education, I walked with teachers, students, and parents from Richmond to Sacramento in 2004 to advocate for more equitable funding for our schools. I helped start the Richmond Progressive Alliance in 2003, amplifying the voice of residents and promoting a wide array of policies that are beneficial to the community and reducing the excessive corporate influence on local government. I'm also currently an active participant in the Ceasefire Lifelines to Healing initiative as part of the effort to reduce violence and crimes, and I've walked on numerous night walks and day walks here in the South Side in Pullman Point and Crescent Park. I just want to say that by working together, building on our collective experience, tapping into the available knowledge, using our creativity, and sharing our resources equitably, we can build a healthy Richmond for all. Thank you.
Richmond is not a broken city, as some people have maintained, some people up here. Richmond is on an upward trajectory. And if any of you were at the assembly where we made a presentation to Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory earlier this year when nearly 1,000 people showed up and told them what a wonderful place Richmond was and why they should move here, then I think you would see how most people in Richmond really feel. Do we have problems? Do we have challenges? Of course we do. Some of them are daunting. But I can tell you what, we have the best city staff that I think Richmond has ever had. And I think we're going the right direction. We need to keep after the challenges and the problems we have, but this city, no one is going to stop it. We're going places. And I think that I want to be a part, continue to be a part of that. Thank you.
I want to thank the Southside Improvement Group Plus One for having us here tonight. And I want to finish with the way that I started by saying, you deserve better from your city council. You deserve better. And all I asked you is for one thing. On November 6th, when you go into the ballot booth to vote, if you can give me just one of your votes, I will give you 40 years of my life committed towards working to make the city a better place. You know, making a decision to run for city council is not an easy decision. And when I talk with my wife, who's here with me tonight, about that decision, we realize it's going to take a lot of time away from her. It's going to take a lot of time away from my personal family life. But we're committed to this city, and we believe in all of you, because I believe our best days are still ahead of us. So if you feel you deserve better, and if you think this city deserves better, give me one of your votes, and I will work very hard for you. Thank you.
You know, candidates night is like spring training in football, basketball, and football. You start out with rookies, people that never been involved. You have sophomores and you have seasoned veterans. You have people that you know what they can do. They're dependable. They're proven that. The Kobe Bryants, you know, the LeBron James. It's there. They know what they're doing. They're experienced. They're knowledgeable. You need somebody up there that's knowledgeable, experienced, and know how to get things done. My years of experience, you know what they represent. Get the job done. All right. Nat Bates. Number 9.
Oh, boy.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. This has been a very wonderful time. And thank you. It's been a privilege and honor. Let's remember Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Teddy Pendergrass. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. And that's what this is about. I don't want to hear about bad luck, what you got. No. But what I do want to step up to plate on very seriously upon my election, I do make a very spiritual, fatherly, and parently commitment to take the ego and the ego trip out and to let spirit enter. It is an honor and a privilege to serve. And that is what I know. I have been here to Easter Hill Methodist many times. My family is related to John and Charles Wesley, the founders of the church in Bristol. And my home church is St. Luke's. And from a spiritual place, let us embrace change, do the right thing, vote for me, I will let you down. Thank you.